Joining us now is Billy Bingo, someone that I've known for quite a while. We actually met through the comedy circuit, but he's more than just a comic. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Donna. How are you?
Good to see you. So, years ago, I came up with this idea to do this thing called the laugh off. And you were one of the people that were participating in that.
Yes.
Year one.
Huntington Arts Council.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't win, but I was voted audience favorite, I believe.
Well, yeah, you were the audience favorite. You're still the audience's favorite. So, Billy, what made you decide to start comedy?
In 1999, for my 43rd birthday, we went to McGuire's Comedy Club. And then after the show, I said, come on, let's get out of here. My friend says, come on, stop and have a drink. So we're sitting at the bar, and the two comedians, Paul Bond and Leanne Lloyd, were sitting at the bar. And we started talking, and I said to Paul, I go, that doesn't seem that hard. And he goes, you want to try it? And I went, no. And he says, well, they give a class in stand-up comedy. And I went, really, at Governor's? So I took the class, and May 3rd, 99, I did my first show. And I was like, okay, fine, I did it. And then 3 months later, they sent me a thing that said, you want to do a class alumni show? And I was like, I had fun. I said, I think I'm going to do it again. So when I did it the second time, there was a guy in town, his name was John DeResta. And John used to be a transit cop, and he wrote a one-man play called Beat. And Paramount Studios liked it so much, they said, quit the police department, move to LA, we're gonna give you your own TV show, we're gonna call it DeResta. So he moved to LA, and he was in town, and he was headlining the show. So my second time on stage, I come walking off, he's standing there waiting for me. You're real funny, how long you doing comedy? I go, this is my second time. Really? Come here, I want you to meet my dad. I go, meet your dad? His father was a retired fireman.
Wow.
We became friends. And then John invited me to go see him at a show in Medford. And I went and I had a ball. And I said, you guys do this all the time? He went, yeah, that's it. I'm going to be a comedian. And
that was that.
It wasn't as easy as he explained it to be.
It is not easy. I actually took class. I actually did the stand-up university class.
Right, yes.
And then I tried to go do my 7 minutes. And I did okay.
Right.
But I have this show, which is all like gumdrops and rainbows and all like PG-13, right? Sometimes when you're doing the comedy stuff, you got to be a little edgy, right?
Yes.
And I can be edgy,
right?
But it didn't fit. Like,
right.
Somebody be like, I can't believe Donna Drake just told that joke, right? So, exactly.
Yes.
I was like, oh. So
yeah.
I said, all right, I'm going to back into my own lane and just do this, right?
Right.
But what impresses me, yes, is about your comedy, Billy, but then I found out that you were actually a first responder, but you had been with the FDNY for a really long time. Can we talk about your firefighting days?
I became a fireman in September of 1981.
Okay.
And I was assigned to Engine 303 in South Jamaica, Queens. I did 8 years in the engine, and then I transferred to the ladder company. I did 4 years in the ladder company, and then I got promoted to fire marshal. And a fire marshal in New York City is a police officer. You arrest people for arson. And I did that, but I really wasn't happy with that career. So in 97, I quit and I went back to the firehouse. And I did my last 4 years there. I retired with 20 years and 1 day on the job, September 6th, 2001, 5 days before 9/11.
So here it's 9/11, and as the story goes, you were in Spring Lake.
I was at Spring Lake Golf Course with 16 guys from my firehouse. I was paying my green fees, and a guy came in and he says, a plane just hit the World Trade Center. So I went into the TV room and I looked and I says, see the hole in the building. And I went out and I yelled, all my friends were on the putting green. I go, yo, you got to see this, a plane hit the Trade Center. And they're all looking up and they go, well, what's the punchline? Because I'm a comedian. We looked, and like everybody else, we thought it was a news helicopter, a Cessna. So we teed off. And when we got to the third hole, it's a par 3, my friend was on the other fairway. He was yelling across at us. He goes, we're at war. And I'm going, what the heck is Jerry yelling about? And with that, the pro came over the hill, waving his arms. He called us in. They had a total recall of all active firefighters. Now, I had been retired 5 days. They made me retired because I had asthma. And my lieutenant looked at me and he says, you don't want to be seen down there working on, with asthma. And, I said, okay, fine. So I went home. And then by the time I got home, the second tower had come down. And when I got hired in 1981, we had to buy all our gear. So I had a helmet, I had a coat, I had boots. Everything was in my basement. I came up, my wife looks at me, she goes, where are you going? Where am I going? I promised your mother and father in Florida I wouldn't let you go in. I said, well, there's at least 50 dead firemen. Near where did I think 343? And sat there, and she finally agreed with me. She understood why I had to go in, and I went in, and I spent the night at my fire marshal base, and in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning, I went to my firehouse. I jumped in the back of this guy, Timmy Kalani's pickup truck, and we rode right in. And I went in for 5 of the first 6 days. And after that, we started to go to the funerals. And the funerals was worse than picking up body parts. It was terrible. I was going to 2 and 3 funerals a day sometimes. And I had the worst day of my life. We went to my friend Brian Hickey's parents. Brian and I met the day we got sworn in. And then when I came back from the fire marshals in '97, Brian was my lieutenant in Ladder 126. So we went to Brian's parents' house. Then his widow found out we were there. She called us and told us to come over there. 20 guys walk into her house. Who does she grab? Bingo, what am I gonna do? And I felt so bad, you know. Then we left there, we went to a funeral. I saw my friend Rob Carlo, he told me his brother got killed. I saw my friend Dennis Antonitis. He told me my friend Pete Nelson had just transferred to Rescue 4. He was killed. And all of this is in one day. So now I'm driving home, and I bought myself a retirement present. I bought myself a brand new Celica. And the Bell Parkway was jammed. I said, the heck with this. I jumped down Ocean Parkway. I'm doing 100 miles an hour passing Jones Beach, and Celine Dion came on and sang America, and I had to pull off on the side of the road and cry. So I looked at my wife, I said, look, I got to get out of here. My friend's been asking me to bring a car with him to Florida. I kept telling him, no. 2 days later, we jumped in the car, we went to Florida. He dropped me at my parents' house, and he went down to Naples and had another friend in Naples, and I called him up, and I said, look, I'm gonna come see you on Sunday morning. And he goes, okay, fine. And then Saturday came, and his wife called me up and says, we're taking Joey to a comedy club in Fort Myers. Why don't you come in and see us? Maddie, I'm with my parents. I really can't go, yada, yada. Now I'm bored. I say to my parents, look, the heck with this. I'm leaving now. So as I was driving down to Fort Myers, I called the comedy club. And I got the owner, Joe Galanis, and I said, listen, my friend's coming with a party at 12 tonight. I said, I'm a New York City fireman. I'm a comedian. Can you give me a guest spot? And he's like, well, what do you like, tell jokes at the kitchen? And I'm like, no. I said, I've been doing comedy at the time for like 2.5 years. I said, I've been on stage at Caroline's and McGuire's and all these places. He says, okay, fine. He goes, I'll give you the... So we pull up into the parking lot, and my phone rings, and it's Joey, and I see him out. Are you coming? Joey, look, I tell you, I can't make it. And now he's standing out front. I see these 2 girls. I says, you see that guy over there? I says, I got to get past him without him seeing me. Okay, sure. Girl on each arm, boom, boom, walk right past them. They hit me in the back of the club. And then I'll never forget, because Chris Cowles was he's on stage, and he says, your first comedian coming to the stage, he's a New York City fireman, give it up for Billy Bingoo. And my friend Joey stood up, and he started screaming, you got me, you got me. And it was so funny. And that was the first time I got on stage after 9/11, because I had so much going on in my head. It was really, really bad, you know? But Joe Galanis liked me so much, he started hiring me as a feature act. And I would fly to Florida and do his club 5 shows every week. 1 Thursday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday. And that's how I started getting into the comedy scene in Florida.
There was that moment for all of us where, whether it was the baseball game or doing stand-up, or there was that moment where we had to give ourselves permission to still wake up that next day.
Yes.
Because I was in this building, Billy. This is where I was. I was
Right.
at WLNY TV in the newsroom.
Right.
And so our news crews were going out, and it was chaotic, and it was horrible. And then it's like, well, when do we go back to regular programming? When's appropriate for the shows to go back on? When, you know, it's
When does baseball start again?
right. It's so hard, even now, after all these years. And when I see pictures, you know, we're the last generation, and my children are the last kids.
Right.
You know, there's kids now that work for me that weren't even born yet.
Right, exactly.
Right. So I'm happy that you came here to share your story. I've known you for a really long time.
Well, the thing is,
so.
you know, you have to remember the people, you have to
Yes.
say their names, and you have to really keep them alive.
100%. Did you go to the memorial yet? Have you been able to go to the memorial?
Downtown Memorial, yes.
Okay.
I've been to the memorial. I go to the Tunnel to Towers every year. On 9/11, usually I go to my firehouse in Jamaica. We have a mass there. Now we just do a little ceremony. But I only been to Manhattan twice on 9/11. It's tough. You know, I have friends that will never go.
Yeah.
I was in the museum the day before it opened. The Twin Towers. I was at the groundbreaking ceremony in 1966. My dad worked for the Port Authority. I have a Polaroid of me and my grandmother with a model of what the buildings were going to look like. When we were kids, we used to sneak on the trains. If my parents knew what we used to do, we used to jump on the train, go to Manhattan. I spent more time at the Museum of Natural History than I did in school. But we used to go to the Trade Center and ride the elevators up and look out the windows and everything.
It's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to on a joyful, funny kind of note though, because you do every time I see you, I'm just like you make me laugh. It's like Billy Bingoo. I just want to talk about one favorite joke that I still to this day. You know which one is my favorite?
Sure.
I think I've told you which one's my favorite.
I know which one it is.
You do?
Yes.
Okay,
but
take
I
a
don't-
guess, and if you're wrong, I'll tell you.
The cell phone joke.
It's a cell phone joke.
Everybody
Okay,
loves my cell phone
So we
joke.
love the cell phone joke. Hands free. Billy comes and he has a rubber band, like a gigantic rubber band, all the way around his head, and then his cell phone, which were bigger at the time when he started telling the joke, like kind of glued to the side of his face. So that's a funny memory. And then today we just made another funny memory because I told you, like you were like a cop. You ate the donut, but you know,
Yes.
you're a firefighter. You had powdered sugar on your shirt, right?
Right.
Because of what? What do we have here?
Oh man.
That
She
you
gives
are-
me-
that
she
you are
gives
loving-
me an empty cup, but I've been drinking Donuts coffee all morning.
So we just want
This
to give
is just a prop.
That's just a
folks.
prop.
Right.
Billy,
Just like me, I'm a prop.
no, you're not. I love you. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Love you too.
And I know you've got some things that you're attending over the next couple of
The
weeks
next
for
couple of
September.
days.
So yeah.
This whole month of September, from the end of August, the memories start. You lay in bed and you're thinking, oh this, oh that, oh this, oh that. And there's so many things, triggers, you know? People don't realize, like, on 9/11, on 9/12, I picked up a guy's, it was a face. It was just a guy's face, his eyes, his nose, his mouth. And when I go into a costume store and you see a mask folded on the side, boom, right back to digging, right down there, right back there. You know?
Sorry, Billy. I really am.
And then you see your friends and like Brian Hickey's kids. His son, Danny, became a fireman and he worked at my firehouse. I spent an hour on the phone with him 2 days ago. I hadn't spoken to Danny in 2 years.
But it
I said,
comes.
you know, let me give him a call. How's he doing? You know? It's something that we, you know, being a fireman, they can't train you to be used to something like that. Nowadays, they have counseling and they have all it is, but back then they didn't have any kind of support system, you know? And they, you know, like when you speak with the counselors and they go, well, 9/11 was one of the worst days of your life. No, I had worse days than 9/11. I wasn't actually there watching people jump out of the buildings, but Christmas Eve, 1997, I pulled a 2-year-old girl out of a burning building, and I gave her mouth-to-mouth, and Brian Hickey gave her the compressions, and she lived for 3 hours and then died. Christmas Eve. That haunts me. I wake up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh, if I would have made left instead of a right, or if I
Oh,
would
Billy.
have taken this window, or if I would have done that, you know? Those memories are going to be there. They can call it PTSD, they can call it whatever they want. But I wake up every morning and look, I'm here, you know?
And we thank you. We do. We thank you for your years of service. We really do. Because if somebody doesn't go into one of those fields, right?
Right.
And there are no first responders, none of us have freedom. So thank
Right.
you for that. And to our military, to everyone, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm Donna Drake, and please support, you know, those that have made our freedom possible, those that keep us safe, and we wish you happy blessings in your journey. Be well.